use social media as a platform to mess with me. And no, we're going to settle on the golf course.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man? Bro, I'm out, man.
To mess with me and
You stupid.
No, we're
And settle it they did. Welcome back to Par for the Course. I'm going to be reviewing and reacting to the pregame coverage of the match 5 that occurred on Black Friday this year, as well as the end result and just some of the things that kind of played out from the pregame commentary. Stick with me. We'll be right back.
What are you worried about him learning as much time as he had spent rent-free in your dome that he might apply to this upcoming match to help him perform well?
If he thinks he's living in my head, that's great. He can do it. You were living in my head more after the PGA than he's ever been. I can promise you that.
I never knew that, but I do.
About 3
appreciate
days after, you lived in my head, and I was like, man, I can't believe this guy just did this. So I was like,
I'm all about
Therein
that.
lies one of the many reasons that I love Brooks Koepka. He is just a gamer, not willing to give his opponents anything. And I know he gets a lot of flack for not showing up to regular, season events and only shows up for the majors. But you can't doubt the man when he shows up for a big event that he's going to perform. And the match 5 was exactly that for him. He wanted to really settle some stirring up of the pot that has been going on for a little bit with him and Bryson DeChambeau. But again, his just mentality going into these events is unmatched.
I know for quite some time you have been living rent-free in his dome, and I'm wondering what you've learned while being applied to this upcoming match to give yourself an edge.
I personally learned that he's a bit more of a softie than I thought. He's just played this hard ball first off. As I kept pushing back a little bit, there was definitely some unique responses that I got out of him. Ones that I didn't really expect. I thought it'd be a little harder than he did. I mean, he definitely walking with spikes behind him. He turned around and rolled his eyes. I mean, I was surprised at that. I'm like, man, that shouldn't have bothered him in one bit. But that did. Obviously, he said I may have said something. I don't know. And then him going out and trying to incite crowds and not having him man up and talk to me about it. Like, this just kind of, softballing me, I guess you could say.
I'm going to go ahead and preface this next section with that I am not a Bryson DeChambeau fan. I just cannot claim to be that. All that said, he go into his argument around, first he says that he was being hardball by Brooks Koepka, and then at the end of that segment says he's being softball. I'm not sure which one it is for him. I can't tell. And then he talks about inciting crowds, and I don't know if there's much credence to that in terms of Brooks Koepka actively out there kind of riling up crowds against Bryson DeChambeau. I don't know if we have that. I've been looking for articles and just different things that say that. So in my mind, early on, you could tell that the mental battle was already won by Brooks. It was just really tough to follow some of the arguments that you'll see Bryson make throughout this pregame interview with Phil. We'll come back after we listen to a little bit more here.
Bryson is very scientific. What brings out the best in you? How are you your best when you're on the golf course?
I mean, I enjoy it when I'm having fun. I think a lot of times you only see a snippet, right? Like, to be quite honest, the reason I don't talk a lot, or they've got a boom mic right there, they got a camera. You see it a lot on the course is, talking about whatever it might be with my caddy. I'm not trying to let the other players know what's up. And where this is, it's a lot different. It's one-on-one, right? I don't care what he sees, what reaction, anything like that. And a lot of the times we're just talking smack. And this is a different form of golf where trash talk is more than welcome. I can say anything to him and not feel bad about ruining the guy's round or anything like that. So look, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the talk, and there's nothing more that I'd love than to walk away after 7 holes.
It ultimately took Brooks 9 holes to finish out the match. So he was a couple of holes behind his prediction. But there's just something about when he speaks, I get some of the vibes that we used to hear from Michael Jordan when he talked about going against an individual. And in certain ways, it seems like he almost creates some conflict out there. He takes that old school athlete approach. You know, he was a baseball player before he was a golfer, and so I think some of that competitiveness and just going mano a mano with another competitor out there has really carried forth into his golf game. And I think you hear that when he's speaking about his approach to this match versus a regular event. It just seems to be a little bit more intense, and I love that. I really do.
We have a shorter match. It's only 12 holes. I know that you're not a big fan of slow play, so we tried to shorten it up for you to give you that slight edge, so it would be a quicker match. But what about the Wynn Golf Club? Are you familiar with, and how do you anticipate kind of attacking that golf course to come out on top?
Yeah, I mean, playing 12 holes is nice. I mean, it's better than playing 18 holes with Bryson.
So I had quite a few questions going into the match around the 12 holes and would it be as good as previous matches have been. Kind of typically in match play, it gets tight down the stretch, especially if there is an early lead in the match. So I was very intrigued on how that would play out, and I didn't really love it, to be honest. I thought the 12 holes was too short. There were excuses around, darkness and different things. But either way, I think this does speak to the animosity that I think Brooks really does have for Bryson. I don't know if I see the same thing on the other side with Bryson. I just think he's a little bit aloof, to be honest, in terms of, being able to just full throatedly dislike somebody. But when I hear Brooks talk about Bryson, I absolutely feel some disdain that's genuine. There's some consistency there in terms of how he speaks about him. And it isn't just good natured ribbing. He is going at him. And I think you hear that and throughout the clips that I'm playing here.
What I like is that the fact that Tiger's won 18 majors and I've only won 6 has never really stopped me from talking smack in regards to him. The fact that he's won 4 majors year one, and it's not stopping you at all from talking smack, and I do really like that.
I've won FedEx Cup playoff tournaments. I've won tournaments that he hasn't won yet, the Memorial, Arnold Palmer. So I'm not afraid. I mean, yeah, they're major championships for sure, but he just played all those weeks. I mean, all those other – it's not a PGA Tour event, or if it's not a major, right, it doesn't really show.
Here, Bryson hits us with this weak sauce argument about winning – tournaments that are not majors. The Memorial, awesome tournament. Arnold Palmer's tournament, awesome. Is it, a major? They're not. So him comparing that as and throwing that out there as an argument, real sad, honestly. At the end of the day, that's what golfers are judged on. When we talk about the comparison between Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus, it typically comes down to the majors. That's why, everybody's been rooting for Tiger to come back and win those majors to leave no doubt about him being the GOAT and matching Jack's 18 majors. So the kind of the downgrading of winning majors, that seems pretty disingenuous if you ask me.
A lot of great rivalries in sports, and you're part of one of the best.
I guess, I mean, I wouldn't say it's that big of a rivalry. I mean, when you got 4-1 and the one was during COVID and I didn't play. So, I mean, I don't know how big of a rivalry that could be. When you win a major and I'm there, then it might be more credible. But like yours, I got spanked pretty good. But yeah, so, 4-1 doesn't seem too equivalent to me, but yeah, I guess off the golf course, yeah, it probably is a rivalry. There's plenty of John. I'm not afraid of it. Not afraid. I can take it. Not afraid to give it. So.
I am a sucker for a solid, straightforward, simple argument, and Brooks makes one here in terms of, look, he shows up at majors and he wins them at a pretty high rate. And again, that consistency in his disdain for Bryson, you can really hear it when he just says, I don't think this is a rivalry. And I think in his mind, that's very true, because his success on the golf course, it does trump what Bryson is doing. Yeah, Bryson's popular right now, getting into the long drive, kind of the spectacle around the Ryder Cup. all good for the game. But at the end of the day, you're judged on your record and you're judged on majors, not PGA Tour tournaments or invitational tournaments. It comes down to what do you do in those four majors every year?
You have a drive, an internal drive, a work ethic, a motivation that is really unlike very few I've ever seen. And so, what is it like? Where does that stem from? Where has that passion, that drive, where's that come from?
I can't stand losing. That's my biggest thing. I really just cannot stand it. It eats away at me probably more than I let on or would let anybody else know in the room. In the room, Jenna's seen it maybe a handful of times, but I'll try to do it behind closed doors. And I mean, it doesn't matter if we're playing ping pong, pool, darts, cornhole. It doesn't matter. I want to embarrass you so bad.
I love the competitive spirit, the hating to lose. To me, it just endears me to Brooks Koepka. There's just something about the intensity, and just the ability to compete no matter what, no matter the circumstance. And I think that really just does come through. I would honestly love to see him compete week in and week out. I don't know if he feels like that takes away from his focus or his passion for the game of golf, or he has his other things that he is passionate about off the course. Who knows? But when he shows up, the man shows up. So in conclusion, I don't know if I enjoyed still watching the match. The first one that returned with Tiger and Phil was really good in my eyes. Again, we got a full 18 holes and then some playoff holes. This one was anticlimactic. Again, at the end of the day, I thought Brooks was going to win it in the first place. There was just an intensity about him that we just didn't see in Bryson. While Bryson's an amazing player, I take nothing away from him. I'm just a Brooks fan at the end of the day. I don't think the series should continue to go on in the way that it has. Feels like it's been a little bit gimmicky. Yeah, this one made sense because these guys do seem to have a rivalry going on. But I think it's hard to just continue the series just as a normal thing. And then they should actually capitalize on real rivalries and things that are going on in the game. And if there anything else pops up like this, or if there's an escalation in this one, cool. It didn't seem like Brooks was up for another one. I think he came out, proved his point, and was ready to kind of step away at this point. Bryson made it sound like he was ready to come back and do a rematch as if this was like boxing. But again, I think the series has reached a crescendo, and maybe it's time for us to step back and wait for something else to build before we see it again. Who knows? TNT has a lot of money riding on it being successful, so I wouldn't be surprised if we do see it again next year, kind of as we've seen it with different iterations, teammates, and the like. So we'll see. Thank you for coming to the video. Please return, like, share, subscribe. Come on over to our Instagram _ par for the course _ I have some different things going on over there as well. Look forward to seeing you, and we'll check out on the next video. Thanks.